What's up, everybody? I'm David.
I'm Jess.
I'm the husband.
I'm the wife.
And we're married 15 to life. How you doing, honey?
I'm doing good.
Be honest. How we really doing?
We're a little bit jet lagged, or like we haven't lost our sea legs or something. I feel a little off today.
Yeah, we're recording this literally one day after just getting off the boat in New Orleans after celebrating our 15th anniversary with a 6-day...
5-night.
5-night, 6-day, 5-night cruise down to the Yucatan, where Cozumel and Costa Maya. Yeah. They're both near their area.
I don't think it's called that.
Well, it's on the Yucatan Peninsula. It's not the Yucatan, but anyway, neither one of us majored in geography.
I never heard it called.
But anyway, so we're going to use today's episode to recap our cruise that we just took for our 50th anniversary. But first of all, I want to say thank you to all of you who've already subscribed and started leaving us comments and sharing. We love you guys and appreciate you so much for doing that. Don't forget, if you have questions for us, please email those to us at married15tolife@mail.com. Married15tolife@mail.com. Send us your questions. You can also send us voice recordings. If you want to say your question, just say, "Hi, David and Jessica. This is so-and-so. My question is," and that way when we answer your question, we can...
How do they do voice recordings?
You can record it on your phone or on your computer and then just email it to us. Okay. And if you keep it like, a minute or less, it'll probably still be just barely small enough to send it to us. Anything above that, you get up into 26, 27 meg, it's going to be harder to send it to us. But
very cool.
Yeah, we would love to have your voice recording. Send them to us as well. But so Jess, let's just start by the beginning. We talked to each other early September last year and said our 15th is next year. What do we want to do?
Well, we had just gotten back from staff retreat on our anniversary, which was great. I mean, it was fun. The staff retreat was fun, but I just remember feeling like we haven't really got to celebrate our anniversary or do something special in years. We've had so many, for some reason, church events get scheduled in conferences. I'm not sure why people do stuff around September 25th, but for the last 5 years, we've had conferences and events, church events on our anniversary. And so we decided that we were going to next year go ahead and make it, plan it, put it on the calendar, and be able to do something special for our 15th.
Yeah, typically on the church calendar, I mean, if you think about it, Easter's the big weekend in April or late March, and then you have the Christmas season, and then typically in the summer, getting close to August, back to school time is the biggest push for most churches. So when people get back into a routine of we've got our kids back in school. If we're not attending church, let's look for a church. Then typically late August, early September is when churches capitalize on that. Once people have started coming back to church, there is a science to this. Once people start coming back to church, then they're like, okay, now that we have all these families coming, what can we do for the men? What can we do for the women? What can we do for the kids? And so a lot of women's retreats and staff retreats and men's retreats are scheduled late September into mid-October. And then you usually have the October Halloween push. And then, of course, you have Thanksgiving, and then you're on the road to Christmas. So bottom line is it was very much, I don't think we really thought about that.
No, we didn't think about that at all.
We were
decided
just
to get married.
We were just thinking about we loved each other, and in September,
I don't even think we would have known that because the churches we were going to weren't doing anything like that in September that I know of.
I mean, and if they were, they weren't, regularly always.
And we didn't
in that
know.
time.
Yeah, we didn't know. So I wouldn't have changed our anniversary day.
No.
But it is kind of a bummer every year. It's like the joke of what is going to be scheduled that we have to. And most of the time, it's something that I'm away from the house or you are.
Right.
And so you're going to drive me nuts with these cords. David's going to drive me nuts with the cords.
Well, the problem is every time she moves, the cord moves. So, this is real life, people. We're still learning this as well. We're trying to figure out the best way to dial in our cords and stuff. But no, typically the 3rd to 4th week of September is always scheduled something. So we've definitely had to, celebrate our anniversary more times not on the day than on the day, and that's unfortunate for us.
Well, and even we haven't even been able to celebrate on a different day. Normally, we just have kids in life, and we don't really have babysitters, and so the day kind of comes and goes, and it's kind of sad.
And we'll talk about the struggles of that in another episode. For this one, we're dedicating it to recapping what was, in my opinion, the best cruise
We had an amazing
we've
time.
ever had.
We had an amazing time.
So we scheduled with Carnival. This is my third cruise. 2 have been with Carnival. On our honeymoon, we did Royal Caribbean. Jess, how many cruises have you been on? How many of them have been Carnival?
So I went on my first cruise was a Disney cruise with my family when I was a teenager. And then we went on a Hawaiian cruise with NCL when I graduated high school. And then me and my mom went on a Carnival cruise when we had just started dating. And me and mom were going on a Carnival cruise. And then me and you went on our honeymoon.
Right.
So that's 4, right? And then the Carnival cruise that we took 7 years ago. And then this one. So this was my 6th cruise.
Wow.
Over many years.
So you're a pro.
No, I mean, I feel like a lot of people that cruise have done way more than that, but.
Yeah, there's some people that's their every single year vacation is they cruise
so
every
I've
single
done
year.
Disney, NCL, Carnival, and Royal Caribbean.
You've done 4 cruise lines.
I've done 4 cruise lines.
What is it about Carnival though that that probably if we had to pick a cruise line to dial in and that becomes our company, it's probably going to be Carnival.
I think that Carnival is really affordable for one. Like the Disney cruise is awesome, but I mean, I saw somebody post today actually that a Disney cruise starts at like $2,500 a person.
That's crazy.
Person.
That's crazy.
Where a week-long cruise with Carnival may be like $800. So I mean, that's a big savings, and I feel like it's very comparable. We love Carnival. I know some people don't like it. They say it's more like like a party ship or whatever. But I think there's a good mix of events and entertainment. We love the food on Carnival. We have loved the service. Every Carnival ship I've ever been on, I've loved it. So.
Yeah, the definitely from just the slight comparisons, because I mean, 15 years ago that honeymoon cruise is almost a blur at this point.
Yeah, it really
but there's a lot of it I do remember though, and I do remember the food not being as made as big of a deal as the Carnival cruise.
I think it's changed probably in the last 15 years
it may have.
to more things on Royal Caribbean. So I'm sure it's good. But like there's certain things we really look forward to on a Carnival ship, like Guy's Burgers and the melting cake and stuff. And so there's things that are kind of nostalgic. And I think for the value and the fact that they have close cruise port terminals to where we live. There's one in Mobile, Alabama, and there's one in New Orleans, which isn't super close. It's about 6.5, 7 hours either way you go. So
right, and then the other closest one to us is probably Galveston, Texas.
But it's a good bit further than that.
It's a little bit further away than that. But yeah, we decided we were going to do a cruise to Costa Maya and Cozumel, and then it was going to be 5 nights and 6 days.
It's not really 6 days; it's 5 nights.
Well,
5
if you combine the day getting off the boat and the day getting on the boat,
getting off the boat doesn't count. You get off by like 8 a.m.
Yeah, I know, but you also get on the boat around 10 a.m.
That's the first day, though.
That's the first day. Yeah.
So really, it's 5 days, 5
nights.
Yeah,
pretty much something around there. But no, yeah, this was once we locked it in stone and then said, okay, we're going to start paying towards it over the course of the year. At what point? I mean, because we were already excited about it, but at what point in the last year were you like, this is real? This is actually
not till we were getting on the ship, because we have had so many snafus with this cruise that I honestly was worried that it wasn't going to happen.
Like, I mean, I know what they are, but tell the audience.
Just issues with scheduling, like our parents coming to help. There was several different scheduling conflicts off and on with both sides that I just thought, I don't know if we're going to be able to leave. I don't know if we can leave everybody.
Yeah.
And then David's car accident right before, and us trying to figure out like, okay,
that's a whole podcast episode.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a whole nother thing on some car issues, but just trying to figure out like how we were going to have a car to even drive down there and how it was going to work and all that.
Right.
So until we were actually on our way, I don't think it finally sank in for me.
Yeah. We tell people, and I firmly believe this all the time, that, you have to protect your marriage. A lot of people don't think of it that. A lot of people think of
or like put it first.
Well, not even that, but just understanding that it's something that's to be valued. A lot of people, see marriage as this is just something we did. This is something that we are now. But no, it is a physical, living, breathing organism that you both breathe life into, and you have to protect it. There are going to be constant things that are going to try to attack it. There are going to be things that are going to try to steal from it. There are going to be things going to try to sabotage it. And there were so many instances over the last year where things happening, most of which were out of our control, that would try to, come in and throw a damper on, things we were doing, things we were going through at the time. And it really gets to that place where we're going to say this a lot, talking about this on this podcast, but you have to cover your marriage with Christ, and you have to cover your marriage with the word of the Lord. Otherwise, it becomes so vulnerable and open to just the cares and the stresses of this life that if you're not careful, you're going to look back, you're going to look up at each other and be like, what in the world is left in our marriage?
I just think this cruise came at a perfect time because we really have been in a season of just craziness. Yeah, and I feel like we haven't even been able to go to dinner together or even see each other half the time. And so it was a perfect time for us to be able to get away and reconnect and all of that. But it's a lot of work also to prepare to be gone that long. Right. I mean, I would have never thought that a week away would have so much preparation. Like before we had kids and stuff, I wouldn't have thought it wouldn't have been a big deal to get away for a week. It's a huge deal to leave the church, our kids, all of the normal life, and someone else step in, or a lot of other people step in and kind of fill that gap. It's a huge, it took a lot of preparation.
Yeah. On my end, I have to make sure that these notes and schedules are left for, the staff and, the people whoever's going to come and speak in my place, the people that are going to be, handling any day-to-day things that need to be handled while I'm gone. For you, it's who's picking the kids up, who's dropping them off, what are they going to eat every day, what events do they have, and we planned it where. And when we planned it, we did not know it at the time, but homecoming fell right on top of it.
Of course, the dress up days.
So all the dress up days, wear your red day, wear your favorite hat day,
I wish they were that easy. They were like, dress like your favorite movie character and stuff. Right. And then also, like, I had to prepare a lot to be left for the church. Who's going to do the breakfast? Who's going to make the coffee? Who's going to do the kids' church? Yeah. Like, it's been a lot. But I'm so grateful for everyone that stepped up and helped us have this time away because we needed it.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. We are so blessed that we have such an amazing group of people that God has surrounded us with, including our both sets of parents that we have, and they all stepped up and did a phenomenal job. I was not stressed about anything being handled while we were gone. That never even crossed my mind. I knew everything was going to be. Yeah, it was the material things we were dealing with at the time that were really a big deal, and we'll get into that in probably the next 1 or 2 episodes. But
I feel like this is getting long. We haven't gotten into the cruise yet.
But now let's get into the cruise and really talk about it. So day 1, we get on the cruise.
Well, can we talk about the trip there?
Oh yeah, let's talk about the trip there because oh my goodness, because the whole 24 hours before we got on the cruise was
it's like
huge.
a 7-hour drive. So we left Arkansas at 4 a.m. on Friday morning.
God, it's not even up at 4 a.m.
Hey, when you're leaving to go on a cruise, it is not hard to wake up at 4 a.m. I popped right out of it. I think I was up at like 3 a.m.
You were. I was up not long after you.
It was a little hard for me to drive away knowing the kids. That's a hard feeling as a mom. Like, I'm leaving them. I'm going to be in a different country.
They're going to wake up and I'm not here.
Yeah. We got an early start. And we made our way to New Orleans. We got to New Orleans by noon, 1 p.m., something like that. We stopped several times. We took our time with the drive, which was nice too, not to have, a lot of times our road trips are, they're always with the kids and it's a lot harder to get out and in and all that. Right. So it was fun. We made it a day. We stopped and ate at Waffle House and we got coffee.
I can't remember the last time you and I ate at Waffle House.
I know, it was really fun. It was like 6 a.m. when we stopped too.
Yeah. Eating breakfast with the truckers.
It was. And then we got to New Orleans, I would say around 1 p.m. Yeah. And I had researched, you really wanted to eat. David, one of his favorite types of food is like...
Top 10 favorite foods in the world, probably.
Jambalaya.
I love jambalaya.
And so I had researched like who had... there's so many places in New Orleans that have good food. But I had found this place called the Gumbo Shop. And it looked really cool. And it wasn't far from where we were staying, which was the Jury Inn. And so we went there.
Oh, come on, create it. Not the Jury Inn, the Jury Plaza.
Oh, it was the Jury Plaza because it was a fancier one.
Yes.
It was really neat. And we went and had lunch. Mm-hmm. Then we went and had beignets at Cafe Du Monde, which was awesome. It was so hot, though.
Did they live up to your expectations?
It was amazing, 100%. So good. We didn't do anything that evening. Once we got to New Orleans and we checked into our hotel after the beignets and all that, we just crashed.
Yeah, from the sugar from the beignets, but also because we've
We were
both been up
exhausted.
since 3:15, 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
And then, which was, I love the Jurian. This isn't a whole thing. I won't make it long, but they have, anytime you stay, they have like a kickback hour where it's like dinner. Mm-hmm. So that's included. And then
Yeah.
they have breakfast too. So you really don't have to leave. Like we checked in, we had like a little dinner there. We went to sleep early. I think I was asleep by like 8:30.
Yeah, we both were probably.
And then we got up the next morning and had breakfast. And then it was time to go to the cruise terminal.
New Orleans has a very unique vibe and culture. If you've
Yeah.
never been there, it's really hard to explain. There's a
neat.
there's a very heavy French Creole influence, and there's also a lot of, the mixture of different, from Native American to British to French to Western to Eastern. It's a melting pot of a lot of different things, and it's really, really cool.
I
Also,
had never really been able to walk around like
Yeah,
the
and
French
just take
Quarter
in
and
the
all that.
city.
It was
Take
really
in-
neat. We didn't do a lot of it because, like I said, it was so hot.
yeah.
But it was really neat to kind of get the vibe. There was like musicians playing around.
That was going to
and-
be the next thing I said. It's in my opinion, New Orleans is the birthplace of jazz, and so
Yeah.
anywhere you walk, you hear people playing saxophones and trumpets, and
And I know it gets a bad rap for like Bourbon Street and drinking and all that
Right.
stuff, but we went during the day and I didn't feel unsafe at all.
No.
It was fun. It was fun.
No, I enjoyed New Orleans, but yeah, so we got ourselves a good night's sleep. We woke up and got breakfast, and then we finished. We repacked what we had to unpack, and then we headed down to the port to get on to the Carnival Valor, which is
Yeah.
one of their big ships. And,
Actually, it's not one of their. It's one of their actual smaller ships, which is crazy because it's still pretty big.
but it's one of the biggest ships in the Southern Fleet because the Liberty is like the biggest flagship of that port. I thought they said.
Oh, well, maybe. But at New Orleans, there's only two ships: the Valor and the Liberty.
Right.
Oh, sorry. New Orleans is a smaller. There's not as many ships that go out of New Orleans.
Right.
But I mean, I still think it's a big ship.
It was a very big ship.
But Carnival has way bigger.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed by the time we got on and the whole process of, you have to park correctly. There's people
Checking in and all that.
and I all props to them. If you don't like being handled this way, I completely understand it. I like people that are firm, and I like people that are like,
well, they're organized.
that's what I'm saying. I like it when people, are like, please come this way. Okay, I need you to have this out in your hand, because there are people that just do not listen and do not care, and that's what
they're trying. So when cruises come into, they have a very tight window to get everyone off the
Right.
ship, and there was like 3,000 people getting off and on.
Right.
So that's 6,000 people that are going through that port. So it is very much like a structured thing. It's a system. You go in, you go through the security. They kind of push you in this room and make you wait. That's kind of like the worst part of the cruise. But
Yeah.
they have to, they have to have an organized thing to get everybody on
would
time.
you make it equal to going through the airport security? and
Yeah,
all of that?
similar to that.
In some ways, I
but
think
everybody's getting
yeah.
on the ship. I mean, there's different times you can arrive, but
Right.
everybody's getting on the ship within a few hours.
Right.
So it's not like there's like this plane leaving, this plane leaving. I mean, it's very much
It's
like
a tighter window,
tight
so they've got to move it
window.
quicker and more efficiently.
Yeah.
But again, I love that, and it encourages me when people, are that way, because that lets me know they're taking it seriously. Safety is the utmost priority, and getting people on and off it properly. And so, but you just know, okay, when we get there, we have to have our passports ready. We have to have our IDs ready. We have to have, what's going to get checked. What are we going to carry on with us?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and thankfully, you being a cruise pro, you pack with that in
I'm
mind.
just a type A person. So
Right.
I made sure that we had everything organized on our end too. And it was very seamless and easy.
Are there any videos on your channel as far as prepping for a cruise, what to think about when you're packing? You want to plug those real quick?
I'm not sure. There is a cruise playlist that we will be adding to when I get, which by this time this goes up, there may be videos out already. Because I did vlog.
And we'll put the link in the comments below.
Did vlog every day, so you guys can watch what a lot of it we're talking about. But I do think maybe I can do some more like up to date ones, but like what to pack and stuff. But there's so many videos on YouTube about that, or you can just Google it.
Yeah, you can definitely Google it. But yeah, Jessica's done a very good job at putting together, videos of when we were getting ready to get on the cruise and what we were doing before our last cruise in 2018 before this. And so, so I'm just giving you your shout outs and your props because Jessica's very organized. Sometimes people are like, did you take your vacation as seriously as she did? Because she does such a good job at it. I really get, because
David doesn't know anything. He just gets on the ship.
Well, and here's the thing. Because if you weren't this way, I would be.
One of us has to.
One of us has to be. And I know that if I've just learned you are very efficient, and because you've done this so much more than me, it would be stupid of me to think that I could pack it better than you because you packed for 6 cruises versus the 2 that I had been on. So I wanted you to have that, that ability to say, this is the way it's going to be because God forbid, knowing me, we would pull into the port. I would have everything done right except that one thing that they would look and go, sorry, Mr. Hawley, we can't let you on the cruise ship. But knowing Jessica, we're going to be able to get on that cruise ship because she's done it right the first time. So I just want to say, I'm so thankful for you because you made sure we were going to get on this cruise ship. We're going to have the best time. And
it really, guys, he's acting like it's this big thing. It really isn't a big thing. I mean, we brought on sodas, so they have to check that.
I'm just playing it up.
There is a few things you can't pack in your suitcases and all. Let's get off of this. This is boring.
Yeah, I'm just saying I wouldn't have known that, but you did know that. Okay. So I'm really thankful for that. But we finally get onto the boat. We get to the cruise and we get to our cabin. Now, we did a different variation this year in that our cabin actually had a balcony.
Yeah, this is the first balcony we've had since we've been together,
Yeah, most time we had staterooms, which were inside.
Staterooms are all of them.
Well, most of the time we had staterooms.
Inside cabins.
Inside cabins,
we on our honeymoon, we had a window. But we had never had a balcony. So that was really neat.
Okay, now explain your thought process into why you did that.
I just thought it'd be fun. My favorite thing about a cruise is just looking out and just seeing the ocean. It's so peaceful. That's all you can see all around you. Some people say it's going to be really freaky, it'll freak them out, but it's so beautiful. And so I thought it'd be really neat to be able to sit outside and enjoy that space. And just because we had never done it.
Yeah, I
don't know if we'll do it every time.
Right.
But I really like to be able, I would go out there in the morning especially. And it was so peaceful and the wind blowing and everything. It was nice to be able to get out and see the sights and all that without having to go out on the public deck.
Yeah, I loved it because I tried to go out there at least once a day. We were doing a lot of stuff that we're about to get into, but it was really good to recenter yourself, read your Bible, pray for a minute, and just really have that moment of peace. And that balcony just gave you that. And
really nice.
I'm really thankful that you booked it that way. And I'm really thankful that, it was just so funny because Jessica also loves to plan little things to make it feel like home while we're there. And so one of the things she did was she actually made a door hanger that had a picture of us getting married, and it said our 50th anniversary on it and the date in which we got married.
I had never done a door decoration before, but it's a big thing in cruising that people decorate their doors. Not everybody, but a lot of people do it. And so I really wanted to come up with something I could do. And so I started looking around for months before to see. And there's things you could order. It's I don't really want to order this customized thing. I really want to make something or have it be affordable. And so I just kind of put it together. I glued a picture frame of us on a poster board. Well, we can put a picture in.
Yeah.
But that was cute. And it was nice. It's kind of a nice visual too, where your room is.
Yeah. For the people walking past it, for the person coming to clean it every day. Yeah. It makes it feel special.
It was something that didn't cost hardly anything, but it made it a little more special.
Yeah. So that was great. And we got it unpacked, and then we started looking into the calendar for the day and the list of things you could do, the welcome aboard stuff, and our first dinner for that evening. Now, one of the things you can do on a cruise is you can there's probably 2, maybe 3 different ways you can dine when you get on a cruise. So once you share the comparisons of those.
Okay, so there is the seated dining. So you go, they have a late and an early seating. So I think it's 6 and 8:30 or something.
Yeah.
But you go in, you have the same table every night. You go right in, you know where it is. You have the same waiter, same time. If you miss that time, you miss it. So that's the dinner. You can also eat at the buffet. There's other options besides the main dining room. But main dining room, I I always feel so sad when people say they went on a cruise and they never ate at the main dining room. People do that.
Yeah, they do.
I love the main dining room. It's such a neat experience. So we always go every night.
And this boat had 2 main dining rooms.
Yeah. So there's a seated one, which is what we've normally done.
Right.
But the thing with that is they put you at a table with other people. They just seat you. You know,
Yep.
you could have.
They fill up the table with people that have been
So it'll be
assigned
the
to that
same
table.
people every day.
And the same waiter every day.
But I just don't like that because y'all know, if you know me, I have social
Introvert.
anxiety. And 2, we never get to sit down and eat together.
No, we don't.
And we never get to go out by ourselves. And so we decided to do the other option, which is anytime dining or your time, or I forget what they call it. But basically, you can go anytime in this window. I think it was 5:30 to 8:30 or 5:30 to 9. So anytime during that, you just check in on the app and tell them that you're ready to eat, and then they'll let you know when your table's ready. And they're not supposed to. We've had a few times where they did, but they're not supposed to sit you with other people. It's supposed to be your own table. So I like that option better. And I like the flexibility of if you're not hungry at 6 o'clock,
Right.
or if there's another show or event you want to go to, because I don't know if you guys have ever been on a cruise, but there is events they plan all day.
Every 30 minutes, there's something going on
And
somewhere.
a lot of times there's multiple things.
At the
There's
same time,
karaoke,
yes.
there's trivia, there's music playing, there's shows going on, there's talks and all this different stuff.
Crafting classes. There's
You don't have to do it.
Photography
You don't have to do.
studios, yeah.
You can pick and choose what you want to do. You can do none of it. But we really like doing a bunch of the different stuff, and
Right.
so it's nice to have that flexibility of today I want to eat a little bit later. You know, we had a later lunch or
Right.
whatever like that. So I liked the dining we did.
Yeah, I'm mixed on it. I see the pros and cons to both.
There's definitely pros and cons.
Yeah, a lot of people I'm extroverted, so I don't mind getting to know people. My thing is, like with Shogun restaurants, I don't like awkward situations. Because then I have to become that person.
It's that like small talk.
Yeah,
thing.
I'm good at small talk and I'm good at starting conversations. It's not a grind on me. It's the thing of I'm here to be with my wife, and this is our 50th anniversary, and so I wanted these to be. I wish they had an option where you could have a combo of both.
And I will say, not to interrupt you, but before, when we've had the seated option, you can go talk to the maitre d' when you get on board, and you can tell them, I don't want to be sat. Is there a way you can move me to a private table? And they will do their best. And normally they do move us, but
Right.
usually it takes a day or 2 to be moved.
And you're also still, like you said before, locked into those hour frames.
Yeah, you're still locked into those hours.
And so that's what I was about to say is I love having the idea of usually the main big shows are every night 7:30 or 9:30. They do them twice. But every now and then, 2 of the days of the 5 days, the main show was actually earlier in the day, and the later time was like a massive game show or some kind of bingo championship, because you can play bingo on cruises and you can pay to play bingo and things like that. And so I loved having the anytime option because we would look at the calendar every single morning, and sometimes they'll let you see a lot of it the day before or even 2 days before, depending on the schedule. And I'd love to be able to look at it and go, okay, here's the 3 or 4 things we really would love to do.
Yeah.
And 2 of them are back to back in a normal eating time window. So if we had the eating time window, we wouldn't have been able to do those things. Having the anytime allows you to do the show and then go eat, or go eat and then go do the show. And it's not as, encumbersome. I hated the thought of something that we really would have loved to do, that whether or not we got to eat also was an issue. So having the anytime really,
and this was the first time that we've cruised since COVID. And I will say that the app that they have and all that there was an app, I believe, the last time we cruised. There was, because we had it downloaded.
It wasn't as efficient as this one.
But it was not as efficient. Like, you can check in when you're ready to eat, and then you don't have to sit in there and wait. They'll just buzz your phone when it's ready.
Right.
That kind of stuff made it even better, because before we've done anytime dining, like I have years and years ago, but you had to go stand outside the restaurant and wait.
Right.
And that's no fun.
Like
on
a
vacation.
typical on-land restaurant.
Right.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
No, it was great, and I enjoyed it. And I wanted you to think about this, and I hope you did. If you could have put together your top 2 appetizers, your top 2 entrees,
You
and
guys,
your
we
top
had
2
such good
desserts.
food.
Guys, I cannot tell you, it is for the money you are paying to be on this cruise. You are getting 5-star quality food.
yeah.
Amazing
And
entertainment.
it's completely and everything's included. There are
Yes.
a few restaurants that are extra, but there are so many included options.
Chefs from all over the world, waiters and waitresses from all over the world, and even the buffet chefs. And
Everything was so
everything was so good. Everybody working there. It was funny. I was listening to the cruise director and the cabin director during the Q&A time, and they mentioned that a lot of these workers that work from all these other countries, when they change their currency because they get paid in U.S. dollars or in euros, that when they go back to their home country, that money, once it changes, they're now so much more wealthy than they would have
They're
been.
able to take care of like their
So
whole extended family.
these people are working as if their lives depended on it and their livelihoods depending on it, because for a lot of them they are, and so they are so friendly, they are so nice, they are so literally. We had, how many did they say we had? 3,500 people. 30.
There was over 3,000.
Over 3,000 people on this cruise. Over 1,200 workers.
Yeah.
So the ratio from worker to passenger was 1 to 3.
Yeah.
There were so many times we would be eating at the buffet or eating lunch at Guy's or something like that, and literally in the time window of about 15 people of eating, or 15 minutes of eating, there would be 2 or 3 people walking past you to see if you're done so they could take your plate.
It's been more than that. Like, it became a joke because he was like, where do we throw this away? Like, there's no trash cans anywhere.
Right.
And I'm like, you just set it down. And we would set it down, and within 60 seconds,
60 seconds, 90 seconds.
somebody would come and
Somebody
take
would come and get it.
It's just like they work so hard.
It felt like Disney World.
They just work so hard, and they're so nice, and it's just it's always been such a positive experience. I love cruising.
Yeah, and it just there's some we were talking earlier with my mom and dad. There's some habits that you form. A lot of them are because we're Southerners, but the thing of you don't leave your trash. You don't just lay stuff down. You always acknowledge people and say hi to people and things like that. They truly want you to just be like you're at home. And if you want to leave something there and clean it up later, you can leave it there. We'll clean it up for you. If you want to do this, great. If you don't want to do this, great. You're on vacation, and we want you to have the best vacation possible. It truly is. It's a weird feeling, especially because Jess and I, we're very self-sufficient, and we love taking care of ourselves and taking care of other people. The thought of going somewhere and you have zero responsibility, all you have to do is it's really interesting. And
that's why I love cruising.
Yeah.
You don't have to make any decisions of where are we going to go eat tonight and how much does it cost. And even if you told me get whatever you want on the menu, it doesn't matter.
Get 2 of them if you want.
I would look at the prices if there was prices, and I would never. That's just who I am. And so there's no prices. You just get whatever you want. If you want 3 appetizers, 2 desserts, you can get whatever you want. And it's just so relaxing. There's no stress. Everybody's so nice. All your entertainment's planned for you. Of course, your cabin's right there. We really loved where we had our cabin. It was so central to everything.
You picked the perfect spot.
And I didn't know. I mean, I tried my best to think what we would like, but we were just in the middle of everything. It was amazing.
We stepped out of our cabin within 10 feet. We were at the main elevator at the main corridor. And there's been times when we would leave one end of the boat to go back to our cabin, and we would not go down that elevator. And all of a sudden it would hit me, if I had stayed at one of these cabins to get to the main area where everything is, we would have had to walk 5 minutes every single time or longer, depending on the foot traffic. So props to you. You nailed the location.
But I mean, even if, say you're at the most inconvenient cabin, it's still so much more convenient than being in a city where you're traveling and driving to restaurants and driving to entertainment. And then you just pull up to ports and you get to go off ship and all of that. It's really neat.
So don't dodge the question anymore. Your favorite 2 appetizers.
That's impossible.
Your favorite 2 entrees and your favorite 2 desserts. And if you can remember what night you had which one.
That's not
if you can.
It's a big blur. But what was neat about the Carnival ship is they had Emerald Lagasse partnered with them, and they had his food options. There was ones every single night, an appetizer and an entree you could choose from that was his food. Some of the best food I had was his food. There was the first night, there was this crawfish, they called it a crawfish strudel. It kind of looked like an egg roll, but it was Cajun, and it was with phyllo dough. It was so delicious. I'm very partial to Carnival Caesar salads. They nail it. I'm trying to think of the other appetizers I had. They had fried green tomatoes one night, but there was so many. I mean, they had shrimp cocktail. They had, I mean, all of the appetizers you could ever imagine, salads, soups. I had this chilled strawberry soup one time. That was really
with
good.
miso. No,
Chia.
with chia. There we go.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Miso and strawberry.
Yeah, don't do miso and strawberry.
And then for the entree, not to bring it back to crawfish again, but they had this crawfish fettuccine Cajun pasta. That was amazing. I really liked the Indian dishes. Every night they would have a vegetarian.
You discovered on this cruise you like Indian food.
I knew I liked Indian food. We just don't get to eat it a lot. But every night they had an Indian vegetarian meal, and it changed. I couldn't even tell you what it was. Like, I don't know. But it was so delicious. I had 2 different ones. They were both amazing. And then, of course, for the desserts, Carnival melting cake. It's like a lava cake. And I learned the trick from watching people on Instagram and stuff to order a side of peanut butter with it. And that was amazing. It was like melty chocolate cake with a little bit of peanut butter, and they give you ice cream. We enjoyed that so much. I also really liked, what other dessert we had? We had the baked Alaska the last night. That was delicious.
We had a creme brulee one
We had
night.
a creme brulee. I think other than that, we pretty much got the melting cake every night.
Yeah.
But the food was amazing. We just, we've just been on this weight loss journey, but we just said, you know what? It's 5 nights. We're just going to enjoy ourselves and not stress about it. And it was amazing. The food was amazing.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I look for stuff that I would not normally get. Like she said, in restaurants, you're looking at prices, and you're also being on our weight loss journey. You're looking at like, okay, what could I finagle into somewhat of an option here, or what's something that's definitely not an option. But for me, definitely, I will wholeheartedly agree that, we had some of the best appetizers I've ever had in my life. They had these egg rolls that were stuffed with barbecue.
It was
They were
spring roll. No,
yeah,
was it?
Yeah, it was a barbecue spring roll.
Yeah.
And my goodness, that was one of the best things I've ever had in my life. It was so delicious. We had I normally don't get to eat steak a lot because of the price, but also because Jessica doesn't like a lot of meaty foods. And so, but I got to have a broiled sirloin, and then also got to have a ribeye, which was really, really, really good. One night, the last night, actually, the best pork chop I've ever had. It was so delicious. And I ate, as much of that as I possibly could, saving room for, dessert at the end. Definitely the baked Alaska and the Carnival melting cake were good. And, of course, but the song that we knew, and the biggest takeaway, and the thing that Jessica and I said over and over again before we even got on the ship, was we cannot wait to get back to Guy's Burgers. I cannot believe that a fast food burger, because it does not taste like one. It tastes so good.
So they have like some lunch options, because the main dining room isn't open. Actually, one day it was open for lunch, but most of the time it's not open for lunch. So there's like a burrito place you can go. Of course, the buffet is open, which we had some good food at the buffet. Mongolian Walk. We never went to there.
Small barbecue spot upstairs.
And then there's Guy's Burgers. So Guy Fieri from Food Network. And they had this on the last ship we were at. And it is a big selling point for Carnival ships for us, because seriously, the best burger of my life. It has this like very thick, melty cheddar cheese on it. It's delicious.
The meat is seasoned perfectly.
It's just delicious. Like, we pretty much had that every single day for lunch.
Almost every single day for lunch.
And then they have like these seasoned fries. If you ever go on a Carnival ship, Guy's Burgers, like pretty much everybody gets that every day. It's so good.
Everybody that's in the Carnival cruise groups is like, we can't wait to get back and eat those again, because
and they have like different toppings you can get. Like, they have like different like bacon patties that you can put on top, and like onion rings and chili. It's different. It's not just like
all the usual condiments as well. Yeah.
It's delicious.
Yeah. So,
and of course they have it's not 24 hours anymore. It's like 20 hours a day where they have pizza. Yeah. Delicious, like
thin crust,
rolled out there
Neapolitan
with dough. Style. Oh man, so good. So we ate really good. And then on sea days, they have sea day brunch.
Yes.
And that is some of the best food I think we've had. I mean, insanely good. I had the skillet pancake thing. Insane, with like these toasted marshmallow. Like, It's all very fancy.
Best fried chicken and waffles I've ever
Chicken
had.
and waffles. They have like steak and fries, and it's like very decadent kind
And
of
of
food.
course, they say one of the biggest testaments to how well of a chef you are is how you cook eggs, and their omelets are to die for.
Yeah.
Absolutely to die for. They are
I
so
had
well done.
this, one of my favorite things I had the whole time was this yogurt parfait, and they make gluten-free granola. It was amazing. And I don't eat gluten-free, obviously, but it was like just nuts and seeds and fruit. It was amazing. And like everything on a cruise ship is like homemade. Like they make the bread, they make the pizza dough, and everything is just fresh and yummy. Right. And we loved the food.
So let's get off the food now and let's go into entertainment. So This is where Jess and I have to compromise, because her favorite way of entertainment is sitting on a deck with a good book in the breeze, and she would do that 20 hours a day if she
I
could.
would do it during the daytime hours. Now at night, it's dark out there. I wouldn't do it.
I'm going to go back to bed.
Yeah. At nighttime, I want to see the shows. I love Carnival and any cruise line. I love their nighttime shows, the comedians, the live music. I love all that. But during the day, I am a fan of like finding a shady spot with the breeze blowing and my book and that being it.
Yeah. This is where we are different, because during the day, if I'm outside, I either want to be cooling off in the pool or I want to be doing something activity based. I don't like sitting still.
Well, he doesn't read too, so.
And I don't read. So I like moving around and doing things. And so if I'm going to be sitting still, I want to be in the air conditioning. And so this is just where we did a little bit of everything. There were days when we would be inside trying to find something to do, and there'd be days when I would sit out there with her. And I do enjoy it for a time. I just couldn't do it as long as you could do it.
Well, and I don't like being hot either, but when you're on the ocean and the breeze is blowing, you don't get hot. I mean, it's just like my hair is like standing out this because it's just the constant breeze.
Right.
And that is so relaxing to me.
Yeah, it is relaxing at times. And to prove how much I love her, there was a day when I like stalked these cabanas for like an hour trying to find one that she could finally, get into and sit there for a long time. And so I definitely see the value in it, and I see why people love it and why people do it. But in terms of the inside stuff, there's so many options.
Oh, you could do anything. There's so many things.
They love trivia, because also cruises really cater to people that want to just unplug and do something mindless. And so whether it's, which we didn't do the casino or anything like that really. And so, if you want to do trivia, and they have everything from 80s trivia to places in the world trivia to music type trivia, name that song. And there was even a Taylor Swift trivia, which I thought Jessica would want to be at, but
it was at a conflict.
It was at a conflict of time, so we weren't able to do that. But y'all know how much of a Swiftie she is, and so there's a lot of opportunities to do. We discovered that we love going to places where just live music's happening.
Oh man, there was some good bands on the ship, and I wish that we were able to do it more, but like they would be in a smaller bar area and it would just be so packed out.
So constricted, yeah.
Yeah. But it was fun with the stuff we did get to hear and see.
Yeah, there's some very talented musicians and singers that, get booked for these things. There was a trio called the Strings of Destiny, 2 violins and a cello. And
they would do like currents, popular songs.
They would put like a small pad and a drum beat behind them from an iPad, and then they would play
they would do like
hits on top of it.
Despacito and Shape of You and stuff, set to like string music.
So it sounded like a classical version of it, and they would put them for the most of the time. They would put them in the main lobby right when you come on the boat, and so and the lobby goes from the floor of deck 3 all the way to the top of deck 11 to a glass ceiling. And so this huge upward opening would just echo with their strings. And it was just so gorgeous. Anywhere on the ship inside, you could hear them.
And I just want to say too, if you've never been on a cruise, and I hear people say like, oh, I can't do a cruise, it's going to be too like claustrophobic, y'all. These are like floating cities.
Yes, they are.
It is there's so many different restaurants and little rooms and bars and entertainment areas.
And anytime you want to get away from people, walk out on the deck, and there's a whole ocean to take in. Yeah.
Yeah. And just so many different areas. It's so crazy when you're on this boat, and it's so much just like its own little part of the world.
Yeah.
It doesn't like feel like I'm on this tiny little boat, and
right.
It's huge. I can't stress that enough if you've never been on a cruise.
Yeah. They have interactive game shows you can play to participate in, like they did Deal or No Deal. And so you could pay, to have a card that had all the little briefcases on it. And if your card matched the card on the screen, then you would win a prize for it. So we played that one time.
We didn't win.
We didn't win. We won.
It was still fun.
Yeah, we almost won. There was a couple of matches we got, but we didn't get enough to win a prize for it. But no, it was a lot of fun. Of course, we didn't play bingo because we don't really understand a lot of the cruise bingo. It's very different than typical bingo that you play with your church or play with your friends.
Intense.
Yeah, and people take it very seriously. There are people that they cruise for bingo. They are at every single bingo meeting and they spend thousands of dollars on cards to play bingo. So yeah, that was not us. We're not that invested in it. But yeah, from the live shows, being a musician and a singer, I love live music and I love talented voices. And when Carnival has very talented shows, the singers are very, very, very well trained in choreography and in vocalization. And what was cool is my favorite show was called America Rocks, and I love classic rock music. And so what they did was they took our favorite live band that has a drummer, a bass, an electric guitar player, an acoustic player, and 2 singers, and they put them in the America Rock show, and they played all the songs live.
Yeah.
And so the 2 main singers sang, and all the normal.
He's talking about
all the normal.
There's a huge auditorium, groups. And they'll do like some big, almost like Broadway type shows,
miniature Broadway shows.
Usually, it used to be I feel like every night, but now it's like every few nights. Like I think there was 2 big shows that we saw.
Yeah.
And then some little smaller ones, but these shows are so cool to watch, and having them play that live music and it not be like recorded music
made it so much better.
It was amazing. We really enjoyed that.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's the best live show I've seen on a cruise yet.
Yeah, it was really good.
So well done. And plus, I mean, like I said, I love watching musicians do their thing, and these guys were so amazingly talented. So that was great. Of course, we are very partial to love and marriage shows because
it's like the
newlywed
show.
Game.
Yeah,
it's the newlywed game, and that brings me full circle to the MVP of this cruise. If you guys, you will quickly learn in a very fast way the measure of the cruise and the fun you have is almost capped by the measure of how good your cruise director is.
Yeah.
If your cruise director is not a outgoing, fun, entertaining person,
most of the time they are.
Yeah, if you're gonna have that job, you better learn how to be. But at the same time, being a pastor, I know what it's like to have your game face on, because there are times when I have to step on that platform when I'm sick or I don't feel good or I've had a rough day or a rough morning, and you have to put your pastor face on because you're there for people that need you to be their pastor right now. And so I know full hand what it's like to have a huge responsibility to be on right now and perform and be what these people need you to be. And I have to give a huge shout out to Cruise Director George, all the way from London, England. But my goodness,
he was amazing.
He's the best cruise director of the 3 ships I've been on. Would you say of all the ships you've been on?
I mean, really, really good. He was such a nice guy. Like, we saw him several times just walking around, and he's always talking to people and very sweet. And he said on the Q&A we went to with him that it was only his 5th time on with Carnival. We were his 5th cruise. So
that means he'd only been on that ship for maybe at the most 2 months.
Yeah, not even that really, because every cruise is like 4 to 5 days. So he was amazing. We really, really liked him. I've already followed him on social media.
Me too.
Just really neat guy.
I would love to get him on Much Appreciated and just show him how much I appreciated him. So George, if you hear this, or if you answer me back on social media, I'm going to try to get you booked on that, because I would love to talk to you again.
He was a really neat guy.
Yeah, we loved him. He was great. He's very entertaining. He's what I love the most about him is how fast thinking he is. Because in that moment when someone says something or does something, you've got literally less than 1 second to have a retort or a reaction or do something funny. And he is I'm sure he's done improv classes or something, because he is so fast. And
he seems like a lot of times with cruise directors, I feel like they are trying to like make you laugh, and they're very like funny.
He's naturally funny.
But he was just such a down to earth, nice person.
Yes.
Like you could just tell he was just a nice guy. Yeah. And so we really enjoyed him.
But the whole staff.
Oh, yeah.
All the Fun Time Squad, they call them, which are like the 6 or 7 people.
Squad.
The Fun Squad, which are the 6 or 7 people that work the closest with him to like host things. And
I mean, I want to also say our cabin steward, the best.
Yes.
The best. And
Yes.
they now, like after, this is new since the last time we cruised, they only make up your room once a day. A lot of...
And they ask you, do you want to do it in the morning or do you want to do it at night?
Yeah. And we picked the morning, which I think he did most of them in the morning. But they used to they would make your room up in the morning and then they would turn it down at night, which was really neat. But now they don't do that anymore. And there was a couple times where we would need something in the evening and I would feel bad because like he already did.
He already did something. Yeah,
you know, but he gave us his number.
Spill your Coke on the seat on the
we
sheets
had a
or
few
something.
spills on our bed, and
Yeah, one time we brought a burger back to the room, and Jessica's ketchup fell off her plate onto the bed.
and we just were like, we called him and just asked if he would bring us a new sheet, and
he just made the whole bed over again.
We weren't in there, and he just completely changed everything, made it all up, and he was amazing. So we really liked him. But everybody, like all the waiters we had, everybody, the singers, everybody was so nice.
Yes.
And I love cruising for that. The people that you meet.
Yeah.
And they work so hard. They don't have any days off. They go, most of them 6 to 8 months straight. Then they have 2 months off. And then they do it again. They send them home for 2 months. Then they do it again. I mean, that's a lot.
And
days off.
They said the higher up people, like the directors and the high ranking,
officials.
The officials, the corporate people, they will average usually 3 months on, 3 months off.
Yeah.
So you think about that
but
right
still,
there.
0 days off.
Yeah, 0 days off when you're on. Because you got it. The moment you dock the ship, you're immediately like, okay, we got to do this again. And they turn everything around for the next 3,000 people that are going to get on that boat.
Everybody's off by 9:30. The next crew starts getting off on around 10:30.
Yeah.
So it is, and that's why they're so efficient and organized.
And they sweep that whole ship. If there's anything that needs to be fixed, if
And
there's
I will
anything that wasn't
say,
working. Yeah.
Super clean. Everything I saw was super clean.
Yes.
Like I said, we couldn't set anything down without it 2 seconds later being picked up.
Yep.
So
Yep.
do you want to talk about the ports and the just not having one?
Well, and the reason I didn't want to bring too much attention to this is because there really wasn't much to talk about. We got off at Costa Maya on day 2. And after the first sea day,
well, it's technically
day 3. The day 1 you're getting on. Then you have a day at sea to get to your first port, and then day 3 would be Costa Maya. So we
didn't plan anything. We didn't plan an excursion for Costa Maya because we were getting there at 1 p.m., which is a little different. I've never gotten to a port that late.
Usually you wake up at the port.
Right. So we got in there at 1, and then we had to be back on board at 7:30. I was like, I don't want to do a big excursion because I want to be back in time to have dinner and do the shows and all that. So we got, are you okay?
Yeah. Swallow water a little too fast.
So we got off, I would say around 2. Mm-hmm. We were only off for maybe an hour and a half. There was a bunch of shops that we walked around. It was very, very hot, very hot. But what was cool was, the only other ship that was docked when we got there, or the whole day, was Mariner of the Seas, Royal Caribbean.
Which was our honeymoon ship.
That was our honeymoon ship. And so it was really neat. It looked a little different.
I wonder if Dave is still on it. Probably not.
Probably not.
Dave is our cruise director for that ship.
But that was neat to be like, that's the one we honeymooned on. And here we are 15 years later.
Got a picture of it. And
so then we got back on board. And that night...
First of all, say, what is one of the things that you had to have that we went looking for on Costa Maya?
So in Mexico, you can buy prescription medicine, a lot of different prescription medicine, not like opioids or anything like that, but there's a lot of different prescription medicine that you don't have to have a prescription for. So people will go and get antibiotics, inhalers. There's all these different medicines that are so much cheaper. Right. Not only you don't have to prescription, but they're so much cheaper. And anytime one of our family or us are going on a cruise, actually, I guess this is the first time I've been since I've been taking this medicine, but the sumatriptan I take
for her migraines,
you can get a bottle of it cheaper than going through insurance and all of that. And so I was going to get that in Cozumel, which was going to be our next port after Costa Maya. So we walked around a little while in Costa Maya. We got a few things for the kids, souvenirs. It was, like I said, extremely hot. And before we got back on the cruise, there was this little tiny pharmacy. And I just went in there and asked them if they had sumatriptan. They did. And it was a little more expensive than what it would be in Cozumel. And so I kind of debated, because in Cozumel, there's a bunch of different pharmacies and you can kind of shop around.
Cozumel's much bigger than Costa Maya.
And so I knew it was going to be cheaper in Cozumel, but I just was like, I had this feeling because when we left, we knew there was a hurricane coming.
Hurricane Helene was forming in the Caribbean at this time.
And we weren't sure that it was going to mess anything up. I really wasn't thinking that, but I just had this feeling of what if, number one, we had an excursion planned in Cozumel. So I was like, what if that excursion goes long? What if something happens and we're not able to get this medicine? I'm here at the place with the sumatriptan. So I went ahead and got that.
Right.
And I'm glad I did because we got back on the ship and that night at dinner, the captain came over the loudspeaker and said that the port of Cozumel was closing and we were not going to be able to stop there.
Helene is going to take a direct curve right over Cozumel, and then it was going to come up to the Florida coastline where it hit landfall. So they just wanted to help all ships steer clear. Don't even come this way because we don't know what the conditions are going to be. And so I told her, I said, you didn't have a feeling. Holy Spirit told you to buy that.
Yeah.
And it was 100% that. And that's one of the cool things is that even though you're quote unquote on vacation, you're still a Christian and you're still supposed to be in tune with God. And so there were many times when I would catch myself praying about things and then we would find out things were going on at home or just whatever. And so thankfully God never takes a vacation. And so that was really encouraging to me that in that moment, he was looking out for even something as simple as you needed that medicine.
Well, and that night was probably the roughest night because we were trying to get ahead of the storm and stuff and the waves. People say like, oh, you must have had bad weather because of the hurricane. It was just that one night when we were trying to get past Cozumel.
They cranked up the speed to get out ahead of it and get up back towards. So because of that, we missed our excursion at Cozumel. And
I was worried because they said we're going to head back to New Orleans. And there was like a few hours where we didn't know, are they going to cut a day short? Are we just going to get back a day early? Or are we going to have 2 sea days instead of 1? Just be at sea on the day we're supposed to be in Cozumel.
And they're thinking the same way we are. Okay, if we do come back a day early, that's going to mess up people's flights, car rentals.
I figured they would do everything possible to not have us come back early because it's a business too. Like they don't want to have to deal with all that. And so we did hear that we were just going to have 2 sea days. So we were very happy at that point. But that was the only day that I got really sick. I had after getting back from the hot day in Costa Maya, I'd had a migraine, like not even a bad one, just a little bit of a headache.
Well, when you're out in the hot a long time, you tend to get
headaches. It's a trigger. And so I went ahead and took a sumatriptan pill. And then between the motion of the boat and everything, and that medicine being in my system, just feeling a little off, I got so nauseous. The boat was really rocking. And I remember us sitting in
double
trivia.
The speed, people. Double the speed.
I don't know that it was, but
I can almost guarantee you it was because I was watching the bow. It was moving up and down. They were trying to get out ahead of this thing.
I think the water was just also very choppy.
Yeah.
But anyway, we were sitting in trivia and I could just feel the boat. Like, he was trying to win like these love song trivia. And I was like, I kept having to like go outside. Like you can't get away from it when you kind of
missed it by 5 points. Every question was 5 points, and I missed it by 5 points. So I
finally just had to go to bed. I took some Benadryl, like knocked myself out, and then I was okay the next day. But that was the only time I got seasick.
Yep. So we enjoyed our 2 sea days. We did as much of the.
I think it ended up being for the best because I do too. We had an excursion planned for Cozumel. It would have been like 4 hours, like on a catamaran. It would have been fun. But it wouldn't have been very restful.
Right.
And we really needed that like recharge time. And we just relaxed. So the next 2 days, we went to some events, some trivia, some music. They had different shows and stuff like that. But really, we just chilled. And the weather wasn't, it was kind of cloudy and kind of, it wasn't like super sunny or anything. So we just we did more stuff inside. We took some naps.
The one thing we did not use that we packed was our bathing suits. We never swam and got in the water one time.
The cruise ship pools are not.
Yeah, they're not very big.
They're not very big. Usually they're pretty crowded.
And they're hot. And they're hot tubs because it's a family-friendly cruise. Their hot tubs are not going to be very hot.
I think even on, like, that's just a cruise ship thing. They're just not. They're just not very hot.
So, it never appealed to us to put our bathing suits on and go get in the pool.
We would have used them in Costa Maya.
Yeah,
because we were going to snorkel and stuff. Cozumel. But it ended up being for the best. It was a very much more relaxing few days.
Which is what we needed.
We needed that.
Yeah,
so
100%. And My biggest takeaway that we can bring this in for a landing now, or bring this into dock. How about we keep in the cruise theme? Bringing this ship into port. My biggest takeaway of this cruise, and then I want to hear yours, is simply the fact of I am so thankful that we were able to go off and have a vacation, and the conversation was not dominated by church or kids or anything that, typical couples, that's all they can talk about. We found ways to talk about, things we're hoping to accomplish, dreams we have. Of course, we talked about what we were currently doing on the boat and what we were currently going to be doing the next day or the day after that. Of course, all of that. But my biggest takeaway is that Jessica and I are truly even more than being husband and wife and being ministry partners. We are really best friends. And I love that I can do anything with her, whether she's
we forgot to say one of the best parts of the cruise. David sang karaoke to me.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
You should have.
Because I wanted you to bring it up.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean.
It was very romantic. So we went to karaoke.
Okay, go ahead.
I have to tell him.
Well, now we know what your biggest takeaway is.
I just thought it was so sweet. So we went to karaoke and everybody was just standing up there singing the songs. And I will say most people were decent. I mean, it wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
But they were just standing up there with their microphone and they would just sing it. David decided that he was going to sing it to me. Mm-hmm. And so before it starts, he's like, this one's for you, Jess. And then he sang it right to me, pointing at me. I've got some video.
Yeah.
And everybody loved it. You got the most cheers I've ever heard.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
It felt good. I mean, I'm going to do a full-on cover of Faithfully by Journey in the near future. It is my favorite song by Journey and is my ringtone for every time Jessica calls me, because the lyrics of that song could have been for ministry. It talks about the long road. It talks about being away from your family. It talks about the headache of what you do and how it puts stress and puts, your relationships in a tough spot. And these cruise people can relate to it. They don't see their wives and kids and family for all this time. And so Faithfully always just reminds me that all the things we've been through relationally and all the things we've been through ministry-wise, you've stuck by me. Yeah. And so every time I hear that song or sing that song, the only face I see is your face. And so I wanted to sing it to you. And it wasn't my best performance of it.
You did great. Everybody was so impressed.
But I was very happy to do it, and
everybody was saying, "Oh."
Yes, I was very thankful to do it. I'm glad that you felt it. I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
He was like having everybody sing along. Like, you performed it. He didn't just stand up there and sing it.
I've been a worship pastor 20 years, so I mean, that's just what I do. I can't help it. But no, that was so much fun. So bottom line is, we're cool. And
it was fun getting to have
reconnect.
I will say though, once you have kids, it's never completely carefree. Like, of course, there were so many times we could tell you, like, Lucy needed this costume for a dress up day, and we're trying to frantically figure out.
Oh yeah, real quick, tell about the media, the social media that we had to do, and how we had to. How we use that.
There's internet packages there's different ones with Carnival. I know every ship is different, but the lowest internet package, because I just wanted to be able to be available if someone had a question, if there was an issue, they could get a hold of me. At least, maybe not every second of the day, but I could check in. So the lowest level for internet was the social media plan. So we could get on Facebook, Instagram, like weird stuff like Pinterest. I don't know why you would need that on a cruise ship, but I could Facebook message.
Here's how you build your own cruise ship.
Like, why?
Just kidding. Go ahead.
I was even able to check YouTube comments. So that was good, because there's some I had to block, and I was like, I'm glad I didn't stay up for a week. And then I could comment on to y'all and stuff. But
trust me, we weren't laying around our room on our phones all the time.
Yeah, actually, the internet didn't even work that great in our room. We had to kind of be in an area, like a part of the ship.
But we probably blocked about 30 to 45 minutes a day of, let's just check in.
Yeah, we could Facebook call them.
Yeah.
And then text messages worked iPhone to iPhone.
Yes.
So that was good.
If you have the internet on.
And then me and David paid $5 through the Carnival app each to be able to message each other.
Right.
So that was
came in huge handy because
we never had that before. And if you're looking for somebody on the cruise ship,
good luck finding
and
them.
They're moving and you're moving. Like I said, it's huge.
Yeah. If somebody says, I'm going to go to the restroom, you didn't hear them say that. They go into the restroom, you're still walking, you look back and they're not there. You don't know where they are.
And I will say that text feature worked extremely well.
Yes, it did.
For us, and $5 each for the whole time. That was a great deal. But there was a few times like back at home where we had to step into parent mode, and like figure out stuff for the kids and stuff. So you're never truly carefree once you become a parent. But I think we were as close to it as we could be.
Yes.
And we were able to let our hair down, relax a little bit, have time together, go to dinner together, go to shows together, and relax. And we needed it so much.
Are you still firmly defending then? Granted, I mean, there's still things but here's what's funny. Jessica has said over and over again, it's her favorite vacation and her favorite
Cruises,
the cruises is her favorite way to take a vacation. I don't know if there is an Israeli cruise. Yeah, I would love for that to be, because Israel's on my bucket list. It's the main country I want to see before heaven. I want to see it. But I think almost any country or place Jessica wants to go to, there's a cruise for that.
Man.
So I think that would be ideal for her. I think that like with everything she said, she doesn't have to be in mom mode and cook mode and clean mode.
It's
and,
amazing.
Yeah.
And we would love to take our kids one day.
Oh, absolutely.
I would love to. I want to take Lucy on a cruise.
Mother-daughter
hopefully
cruise.
soon, like in the next few years. And then maybe all the kids. I feel like, I don't know how Nate would handle it. It's a lot of people. Now, Jen did tell me that when she was on Royal Caribbean, they had an Autism of the Seas event where autistic.
Well, Carnival had...
They did have like sensory.
They had sensory stuff, where if your person needs a room to go to, here's the room they go to and things
so
like
I think
that.
but I just wonder how he would do.
Right.
I just don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of things they would love about it.
Right. And I think Mark is probably, I mean, we saw some little
we
kids
saw like
there.
babies.
Yeah. But I think,
And that what's also great is when you travel on a cruise ship with kids, there's childcare and
Right.
it's included.
right. And this isn't just stick them in a room and they
No,
watch a
it's like
movie.
fun
No,
stuff.
they have activities planned and dance rooms. And
They'll even have late night stuff so you can go
Yeah.
to dinner and shows and stuff, and they'll keep them to like 1 a.m.
yeah, for kids ages. And then they have Club O2, which is for the teenagers. Yeah. So they can go and play games and, do all kinds of fun stuff.
It's really neat.
Yeah.
So I think it's the best vacation ever.
I second that. I mean, I love high energy stuff. I love,
But what I love is if you want
that.
high energy stuff,
You can excurge that.
You can do that. There's nightclubs and dance party. If you want like the full like party atmosphere, they got that. If you want to lay with a book on the
If you want to get off the boat and go zip lining or go hiking or go tubing or whatever the excursion calls for, you can do that too. It just depending on how much you want to do and how much you're willing to pay for.
It's the best. So
Yeah.
I hope it's not another 7 years until we get to go on another one, but you never know.
Absolutely. I loved it. I'm so glad we got to recap it. And I hope all of you enjoyed this. Please, again, like, comment, subscribe, click the bell so every time we post a new video, you get notified immediately. Drop in the comments any questions you had about the cruise. Maybe we can do a Q&A about cruising in the near future. If you have any topics you want us to cover, put those in the comments as well. And if you want to email us questions or voice recordings of your questions, you can do that to married15tolife@mail.com. married15tolife@mail.com. Send us your questions and your voice recordings, and we're going to definitely do a Q&A episode sooner rather than later. Jess, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
15 years and still going.
That's right. I can't believe it.
I know. I'm so excited. All right. We love you guys. As always, I'm David.
I'm Jess.
I'm the husband.
I'm the wife.
This is Married 15 to Life. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.